I'm John Richmond, co-founding member of Richmond Vona. And both myself and Keith are really proud of our past success representing millwrights who were exposed to asbestos and later on in life diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer. Millwrights are a skilled trade that perform really important work on equipment and machinery in a variety of settings and industries, from steel plants to chemical plants to processing facilities and more. If you were a millwright and worked in one of these facilities or one that I haven't mentioned from the 50s all the way through the mid-80s, there's a really good chance that you were exposed to asbestos. Now, a millwright's exposure to asbestos can change depending on the type of facility that he or she worked in, but there are some common ways that we've seen millwrights be exposed to asbestos. The biggest ways are millwrights working on pumps, valves, and steam traps that are used on high pressure steam and hot water lines in a variety of different types of facilities and in different industries. Now, when we're talking about pumps and valves, the typical exposure we see for a millwright is having to take off the flanges, remove the old asbestos-containing gaskets that are really stuck onto those flanges, using a wire wheel or wire brush to remove that old gasket material that contained asbestos, and as a result, causes asbestos dust to enter into the air that they then breathe in. In addition, we see millwrights when they're working on pumps or valves using packing hooks to remove the old packing from the packing gland, and that too can create asbestos-containing dust that they breathe in. And the same with steam traps. And in that case, we've seen millwrights talk to us time and time again and even testify about removing old asbestos-containing gaskets from the flanges of these traps. The reason why asbestos was used on these types of equipment is, again, to encourage efficiency of these high heat applications and merely at times to ensure that people were not injured by these hot pieces of equipment. And that's again why we see asbestos-containing insulation oftentimes used on the exterior of these pieces of equipment that has to be removed before the millwrights start performing this work. Although there are a lot of common ways that millwrights are exposed to asbestos, their exposure to asbestos can differ depending on where or when they worked. For instance, millwrights often work in close proximity to other trades, like pipe fitters or steam fitters or even boiler tenders, maybe even insulators. Again, it all depends on when or where they were working. In addition, the specific function or type of facility that a millwright is working in may also dictate what kind of exposure to asbestos he or she may have had. For instance, if a millwright was working here in Western New York at a processing plant like Hooker Chemical or even DuPont, he or she may have been exposed to asbestos from working with or around kettles or reactors. Now, this is a very specific type of asbestos exposure, so it's very important that if you were a millwright diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer and worked in one of these processing plants or another distinct facility, that you call an experienced law firm like Richmond Vona who can assist you in these claims and knows the ins and outs of that type of exposure. Although there are a lot of common ways in which millwrights may have been exposed to asbestos in the past, we understand that no one millwright story is the same as the next. We'll work with you, spend as much time as we need to leave no stone unturned, to truly understand how you were exposed to asbestos, to truly understand your story, so that we can work with you to get you and your family the compensation that you truly deserve.